Hey, good morning, everybody. Here is my review of Identity Nation Discourse, Latin American Women Writers and Artists, edited by Claire Taylor and presented by me, Anthony E. Farah. Not only to meet the assignment directives for this class, but also to serve as a jumping off place for further research of mine. I'm really interested in Latin American and Spanish language literature right now. I'm also interested in the marginalized and non-metropolitan voices of world literature, and I want to do some comparative studies on these bodies of text. Um, so this book is an excellent book that meets all of those criteria, and I was very pleased with it. Because the book covers so much ground, a summary can only be very brief. Um, But the introduction by Ms. Taylor indicates that she wanted to arm post-structuralist and postmodern feminist literary critics with what she called tactical agency, or strategies to which they can insert themselves in their writing into a national identity and become part of a national discourse. Um, but she divided the book into two parts, Women in Nationhood and Models and Genres. And let's take a look at those. Part one in Identity Nation Discourse talks about women in nationhood. And it covers a vast amount of ground and different media, from the newspaper in the upper left to the poems of Alfonsina Storni, to the visual artwork and the visual protest like Violeta Parra's Arpilleras, which you can see contrast greatly with traditional feminine artwork like that. They also discuss the metaphor for women's writing as part of a national identity in El Chaupi, which is that stripe of different color running down the textile work you see in the upper right corner. In part two, the essays show how traditional male dominated genres have been reinterpreted by women. For example, the detective story has been interpreted a bit by Angelica Gorodischer, um, featuring a female detective. The subjugation of women in the fairy tale is exposed with reinterpreted cuentos de hadas. And Sor Juana, the iconic Mexican nun, is featured in film and noted that her silence is really a protest against a male dominated world. I think Dr. Taylor's primary aim of arming contemporary feminist scholars and writers with what she termed tactical agency misses its mark slightly. Past strategies, even though they were partially successful over time, I mean, everybody recognizes the genius of Alfonsina, uh, still have not brought Latin American women's writing into the parity it deserves with the bulk of the male dominated Spanish language genre. However, where the book does succeed is in relating the history of the challenge and the questioning done by Latin American women writers in the past. And I think it's inspirational for feminist literary critics now, not only in Latin America, but in other non metropolitan um, cultures, to continue to challenge the male dominated genres and move everybody, the marginalized and the metropolitan, towards a world of being humans and not just men or women. Where I think the book really shines is providing a baseline for researchers new to the field and undergraduates who are beginning their studies in Latin American women's literature. Because It points the reader to a lot of primary sources, which if they don't have a background in Spanish language literature, they might not be aware of, that are vital for further reading. It also succeeds, number two, in relating the double burden that women experience around the world, such as we're seeing in post-Mao Chinese women's literature in this class. For example, in Gorodischer's book Floreros de Alabastro, the detective feels the tension between having a public role as an investigator, but also being the perfect mom. In Colombian autobiography literature, the person who submitted the essay notes that feminine identity in Western cultures is normally constructed in an environment of constant guilt. And that guilt being in the Colombian writer's context, how she feels that she abandoned her daughter. So this book really provides a rich experience for novice and perhaps even some veteran Latin American feminist literary critics and scholars because of its far-ranging subject matter. It is an excellent resource. Thank you for listening, everybody. Stay human.